How's it going, Laser Bruces? I'm Bobby Sixkilla and welcome back to Root Double. I've been off for like 4 days because of my throat. It still hurts, but I cannot put it off any longer because we're like two episodes away from finishing this game in its entirety with its true ending and everything. We got 3 endings left to go. We're jumping back in quite far back at save 26, which is it's pretty far back as you can tell. So there might be quite a bit of skipping involved getting to the next bit, but let's carry on, shall we? We're going to go Watase Max Natsuhiko 1. And let's see what happens. I'm just going to hold down skip until new things happen. As soon as that idea crossed Natsuhiko's mind, a feeling in the deepest depths of his mind welled up to refuse it. That feeling snapped Natsuhiko back to his senses. What was I thinking? Natsuhiko started trembling at the realization of just how terrifying his own thoughts were. There's no way I can do that, even if Watase's a terrorist. So this is obviously his decision last time to wipe his memory to save Yuri. So this time we're not going to do it. And besides, inside Watase's brain, Subject N had said this. You use inhumane abilities to your heart's content to stomp on others. You know what they call a being like that? A monster. That's what. That's right, if I erase Watase's memory now, that makes me a monster. So I mustn't. I'm not a monster. I'm a human being. Natsuhiko strictly forbade himself from abusing his abilities. Even if he had the power to distort people's memory at will, there was no way he would ever use that power. But in that case, what would he do? How could he protect Yuri? He could not find an answer. Damn it, I can't think of anything. At least, I can hope that Watase changes his mind between now until we get out of Labo. Natsuhiko was frustrated that he could do nothing more. He was honestly not all that confident he had chosen the right path. As Natsuhiko wallowed in hesitation and hopelessness, Watase called out to him. Why so quiet? Can't accept that I'll be taking Yuri with me? Of course I can't accept that. It's just, there's no time to argue about it now. Alright, we can skip again, I think. I guess I'll bring you back. It could be a while. Should it be obvious? Though it may be for your mission, there's no way I'd like someone who's going to take Yuri away. I dove through your memory over and over again to free you from your malice. How ungrateful can you get? Maybe you're right. I am thankful for what you've done, and I know the matter with Yuri is inexcusable. But don't worry, I don't like you either. You mess around inside people's heads and change things however you please. Do you know how much trouble you put me through? Sure, I saw how hard you worked. I saw everything. You had it coming, you know. I guess you're right. Kind of stood up a hornet's nest there. The two of them faintly smiled as they held that conversation. They were bad-mouthing each other, yet there was a somewhat friendly mood between them. Right now, Natsuhiko and Watase were completely mismatched. But there was something they needed to do, neither of them could do alone. Something they needed to join forces to do. And as they shared that joint role, they both shared a smile. Captain Kasasagi, from here on out, we're equals. Let's fulfill our roles to the best of our ability. Okay, Yuri. This time, let's start off by accessing and repairing just the floral-scented memories from the get-go. And then we'll erase Subject N's spirit. Huh? Are you sure? Sounds a little different from the process we used for Captain Kasasagi, though. I want to minimize reading other people's memories to only what's absolutely necessary. I'm sure even Mr. Ikeda would like it if we just wouldn't like it if we just peeked into his mind without permission, you know? That was something Natsuhiko had been prohibiting himself from doing. But in response to that answer, Watase said, I see, so you're prohibiting yourself from using your abilities, huh? I admire that intention of yours, kid, but I think it's dangerous. Dangerous? Why? Just erasing his malice doesn't necessarily make him safe, does it? Well, Mr. Ikeda's one of your comrades, isn't he? You don't believe in it? That's not what I'm talking about. It's just, there's honestly a lot about the old man as a person that I don't understand. I know I'm not one to talk, but there's just way too much about the old man's behaviour that's suspicious. Like how he tied up Yuri. So don't you think it's worth checking out what's been driving him, just to make sure? It was a little unexpected for Watase to say such a thing, despite not being a communicator. But Yuri spoke in support of that opinion as well. I can understand why you have qualms about doing it, but don't you think it'd be best if we did a proper check of Mr. Ikeda's past? Huh? I get the feeling that repairing the falsified memories will require as deep of an understanding of Mr. Ikeda as possible. Or else we'll have no way of knowing for sure if the memories have been properly repaired or not. That's true. Watase and Yuri made sound arguments, though it was important to know the dangers of his ability. It might have been more dangerous to fixate on such moral issues. Perhaps he should follow Watase and Yuri's suggestion. Ikeda Max Natsuhiko 1. Carry on. Everyone's lives hang on my shoulders. I can't be too careful with Melis Erasure here. Can I? But just how detailed of a check should he run? Should he look through Ikeda's memories in detail, or just the bare minimum? I want to keep it to the bare minimum. He considered that course of action for a moment, but then Natsuhiko second-guessed himself. No, I really do want to know the details. Why would a diligent man like Mr. Ikeda dabble in terrorism? Natsuhiko decided to have a detailed look at Ikeda's memories. Okay, let's dive into Mr. Ikeda's memory then. As Natsuhiko held his breath in anxiety, Yuri gently grasped his hand. Ikeda, I'm here for you. Natsuhiko nodded at her words, walked up to Ikeda, and activated Sense Sympathy. Mr. Ikeda, I'm sorry. Huh? For what? I read your memory without permission. It's like a major invasion of privacy, so I'm really sorry. Oh, has it been bothering you? I don't particularly mind. It was necessary to step to cancel Subject N's malice, wasn't it? Yeah, but I saw basically all of your memory pertaining to your motive behind carrying out this terrorist attack. Did you have a flashback of your past memories back there? Those are the memories I saw. I see. But I'm sure there weren't any memories in there that would have been problematic for you to have seen. So honestly, it's nothing to concern yourself about. Rather, I feel you helped me reaffirm my convictions. I had the opportunity to recall in such vivid detail the day I swore to fight against Lapo after all. In the process of following your memories, I experienced that day vicariously too. I think you're a brave man, Mr. Ikeda. A look of regret suddenly spread across Ikeda's face when Natsuhiko said that. I appreciate the sentiment, but the compliment itself isn't very uplifting when the result of my bravery turned out like this. Huh? Naturally, I remember all of the actions I took when I was infected with malice. In hindsight, they were all illogical actions, but still. The me during that time, my malice was amplified, still certainly felt like me. As Ikeda muttered that, he looked at the gun in his hands. I shot at Captain Kasasagi with this gun, as if to push all the blame of the plan's failure onto him. The realization of just how small and cowardly I am was truly frightening. Natsuhiko understood the meaning behind Ikeda's words. No matter how good a person may be, perhaps not a single one is completely free from malice. Yeah, I think so too. Because BC is a terrifying power when one wrong use could spell disaster for society. If at all possible, it would be better for people to come to a mutual understanding without relying on their power. The same went for Natsuhiko and Watase. Erasing Watase's memory would return him to the man he once was, one that would probably not conflict with Natsuhiko's intentions, but that would not amount to true understanding with Watase at all. People change with just the slightest distortion of memory. Going so far as to erase their memory would be the same as killing their mind. And that was something Natsuhiko wanted to avoid. So I believe that Watase will change his mind even if I don't erase his memories. That in time he'll abandon Ki's mission and release Yuri. Even if that was just wishful thinking, Natsuhiko still wagered on that hope. And as Natsuhiko pondered to himself, Yuri sadly murmured. But in any case, Hikaden, for some reason or other, we've acquired an ability that's more than we can handle, haven't we? In some ways, maybe it's only natural for normal people to fear us. Yeah, maybe we'd be better off not acquiring such power unfitting of our stature. But if there is some sort of meaning in us getting this power, then I'd like at least to use it correctly. Despite his answer, Natsuhiko still did not fully understand. What was the meaning behind him getting that power? What exactly was the correct way to use BC? But at the very least, freeing someone from malice like this is probably the correct thing to do. As soon as Natsuhiko had that thought, a sound rang out from outside the door. A thought crossed Watase's mind as he did repairs on it. We're getting closer and closer to escape, but where are Natsuhiko's thoughts on all this? Natsuhiko had clearly stated his opposition to the deal Watase had made with Yuri, but agreed to cooperate for the time being. But what move would he take once they got out of here? He could probably erase my memories with just a thought. So when this is all over, will he erase my memories again? That suspicion crept its way into Watase's heart. Watase had looked to communicate as the best he could, but their true power was far greater than anything Watase had imagined. There were people out there who could dive into people's minds and manipulate their memories as they saw fit. There was nothing that frightened Watase more than that. Such people frightened him so much that he didn't find it that much of a stretch to label them as monsters. But even though they're not monsters, it's only natural for them to do that kind of stuff. I'd probably do the same thing as Natsuhiko if I was in his shoes. Of course Watase could have just hidden his intention to take Yuri to Q once everything was over. And then he would have kept his true thoughts a secret, worked himself to the bone to save everyone, gained Natsuhiko and Yuri's trust. And then once they escaped, he would have knocked Natsuhiko unconscious and taken Yuri away by force. But Watase never wanted to play foul like that, it just wasn't him. And what do I do? What do I want? Am I saying I wanted to make things a bit more fair for Natsuhiko? Why am I trying to act like a goody two-shoes now of all times? I'm supposed to be nothing more than a terrorist. But before he could finish that thought, he finished fixing the cable. Don't panic. I'm probably not infected, but I still want you to check my mind just in case. You're serious? You're telling us to peek into your mind even though there's not a shred of evidence that you've been infected with malice. He certainly felt guilty about doing something like that, but Ina tried to persuade him. Mr. Tenkawa, I understand why you don't like the idea. You've never liked the idea of using BC abilities in the first place, have you? Huh? The reason you've been unable to manifest your BC abilities despite your rank as aptitude is because you've been rejecting them yourself. You've avoided trespassing into other people's minds this whole time, haven't you? I have. Now that he thought about it, Ina was exactly right. The manifestation of BC abilities was greatly affected by the user's will, and that was why Natsuhiko's BC abilities had never flourished. But listen, Mr. Tenkawa, now you can use BC at will, and that's because you believe that you need it right now. But I don't believe that I need to peek into your mind now, Professor. No, you do. That's the only way I can completely gain your trust. After all, you and the others see me as suspicious, don't you? Ina smiled wryly as Natsuhiko found himself at a loss for an answer. It's only natural, I've closed my heart to everybody and said nothing but lies. So much so that nothing I say really carries any weight anymore. If you peek into my mind, I believe you'll be able to understand all of the thoughts behind my actions. Ina placed her hands on Natsuhiko's shoulder. Memories don't tell lies, so dive into my mind and experience my life vicariously through them. I'm sure you'll come to trust me if you do. Indeed, that probably would help them understand your feelings, and allow them to learn Ina's true identity and the reason her heart was closed as well. Ina Max Natsuhiko 1. That's what we already got. What he needed to confirm was Ina's true identity and what motivated her to mobilize in Labo today, as well as whether or not she was infected with malice. Should I look in detail or just do a quick check? I think it's best to keep exposure of others' people's minds to a minimum, but that's what he thought for a second, but then another thought suddenly welled up in his gut. No, I really should learn about Professor Tsubakiyama in detail. That seems to be what she wants too, after all. And with that thought in mind, Natsuhiko declared to Ina, Understood, if you insist, I shall go ahead and peek through your memory, Professor. Please allow me to experience your life. And as Natsuhiko said that, Yuri beside him nodded. Please allow me to do so as well. I want to believe you from the bottom of my heart, Professor. Those words brought a gentle smile to the teacher's face. Thanks, you two. I'll open my heart for real this time, and remember, what you see in my head is the truth of this country. As Ina gave them that veiled warning, the kids walked up to her. It activated synth sympathy. Thank you for not erasing Kazami's memories, Natsuhiko. No, I only did what I thought was right. I'm glad I didn't erase Miss Tachibana's memories too. I see, you're right. To be honest, I was scared of you up until now. I saw you as something of a monster who could manipulate others' memories as he saw fit. It's understandable. But you never abused that power. You only used it to save people in spite of the pain it brings you. Thanks to that, I now fully understand you're no monster. You're just as human as the rest of us. Those words moved Natsuhiko's heart. He remembered something that subject Ina in Watase's mind had once told him. You use inhumane abilities to your heart's content to stomp on others. You know what they call being like that? A monster, that's what. Those words weighed heavily on his mind the whole time. But with Watase's words alone, the dark clouds shrouding Natsuhiko's heart felt as if they'd finally been lifted. However, in contrast to the broad smile that formed on Natsuhiko's face, Watase's face was full of gloom. Compared to that, I'm just a stupid bastard. Huh? Hey Natsuhiko, there's something I gotta tell you. When we went down to Area Zero, I realized I did something I can never take back. Alright, now we are back with the standoff with Watase like we had in the last couple of endings. I'm not too sure how much of that all of that stuff. I went through a large portion of that last part of the game. I'm not too sure how much is worth actually showing you. There's a few slight dialogue changes, but basically the upshot is Natsuhiko didn't look as deeply into people's minds because he thinks that you know, violating people's privacy and stuff is morally reprehensible and an abuse of his BC powers, which Watase also believes. So because he's not doing that, Watase thinks that he's not a monster because he's not using his abilities willy-nilly. He's trying not to use them. So now they're on sort of even ground, and Watase feels like he's a piece of shit because he's trying to take Yuri away, even though Natsuhiko's been the good guy. That's the upshot of it. If there is any dialogue in there worth keeping, I'll chuck it in there, but you're up to speed anyway. Q may have been a terrorist organization, but did conduct its actions with a just cause. Watase chose to stick to those intentions, even if it meant making enemies with Natsuhiko. But that dedication saddened Natsuhiko severely. He thought he'd finally become allies with Watase, but it seemed that they had a fundamental, irreconcilable difference at their cause. But Watase, I really can't back down this time either, even if you threaten me with a gun. I see. Of course. Then you leave me with no choice. If nothing will convince you to accept this deal. A bitter smile formed on Watase's face. Then he'll shoot? As soon as Natsuhiko considered that thought, Watase said something completely unexpected. Then erase my memories, Natsuhiko. Natsuhiko doubted his ears. What did you just say? I said erase my memories. The same way you did to protect Mashido from me. No, don't be stupid, Watase. I've already erased your memories so many times, your brain surely sustained enough damage as it is. If I erase all your memories again, I could seriously spell death for you this time, you know? How can you even suggest that? Didn't you get it, Natsuhiko? My will and yours are mutually incompatible. If I don't take Yuri with me, I can't complete my mission. But my will shall never change as long as I'm me. So if that conflicts with your will, then just erase my will with your own hands. And then you too will be free. Once he heard those words, Natsuhiko finally understood Watase's sentiment. Watase put his life on the line to save others, yet his own act of terrorism created several victims. His longtime co-workers, Professor Tsubakiyama's superiors, and high-ranking labo researchers. He'd failed to save Nagisa too. There was no turning back for Watase. After dabbling in terrorism just once, he probably felt the only way to atone for his crimes was to pass judgment on the true evil with his own hands. But Watase, is there really no other way? Maybe for you there is, but at the very least, this is the route I choose. It's something I must do to fulfill my mission. Even if it means staining my hands in sin or turning my back to those precious to me. Natsuhiko's heart throbbed in pain to hear Watase's bitter voice. It almost seemed as if Watase were pointing the gun at himself. So you need to choose too, Natsuhiko. This is the final choice. Whose opinion takes precedence here? Yours or mine? I'm just gonna save again. Whose side are you on? Whose side is justice on? Yours or mine? And with this one we are gonna go Watase Max Natsuhiko 4. The choice lay with Natsuhiko, and there was only one chance to choose. This choice will determine the future, and my fate, Watase's fate, and Yuri's fate as well. Natsuhiko hung his head and racked his brain. Can I choose? If it were at all possible, he wanted to fulfill Watase's wishes. They were partners who had once established an emotional bond after all. But I can't just go and do that, can I? Yuri wasted 9 years of her life to save me, didn't she? There's no way I can just hand Yuri over to Q after she's done all that. As he thought to himself, an epiphany struck him like lightning. That's it, how did I not think of that? There was but a single way. A single way to both fulfill Watase's demands and save Yuri at the same time. That's it, that's the only way. If it means not having to hand Yuri over, then it's a much better alternative. Natsuhiko quietly resolved himself. He looked Watase straight in the eye and spoke. Say, Watase. What is it? The communicator that's to accompany you. The communicator that's to cooperate with Q. That is... It doesn't have to be Yuri, does it? This is the same ending we had last time. Hang on, is it going to change? She probably understood the meaning behind Natsuhiko's words. I can't skip, so it must be new. Hikaden, you don't mean... I do, Yuri. I'm going with Watase in your stead. Hey, Watase, that's okay with you, isn't it? When Natsuhiko asked that question, Watase responded, I can't argue with that. As such, Natsuhiko don't put yourself through trouble. It's not like I chose this route for your sake. But if it's to help the people precious to me, then... No, Hikaden, you mustn't go with Captain Kasasagi. Yuri interrupted Natsuhiko. It's not like you want to join Q, do you, Hikaden? So why? I won't become a terrorist. But Watase's right, there's certainly something wrong with this town. And if someone's going to right that wrong, then I want to contribute too. For the sake of all the precious people that have always been there for me. Yet this incident will put Q on the radar of even more organizations. If you go with Captain Kasasagi, you'll never be able to return to a normal lifestyle. You'll never see everyone again. I don't want that, Hikaden, don't go. And Natsuhiko shook his head and gripped her hand. Yuri, thank you for being so considerate. But you've been saving me continuously these past 9 years. So now it's my turn to save you. You mean, if you're going, then I'm coming too, Hikaden. No, it's too dangerous. You won't be able to see Mashiro, Salyu, or Mum either, you know. So you can't come with me, I'm going alone. No, Hikaden, I don't want that. Yuri screamed as heavy teardrops rained from her eyes. She was like a child throwing a tantrum. I thought this time we'd finally be able to be together. I wanted us to be together forever. Yuri, I'm sorry. But I'll come back for sure. So it's farewell for now, but just for a little while. Goodbye, Yuri. Natsuko whispered that to her. And then used synth sympathy one last time to erase Yuri's current memory and knock her out. And at that moment, his field of vision was filled with radiant light. He felt something warm flow through him from the depths of her mind. I'm sorry for being such a crybaby to the very end. If this is your choice, then I guess there's nothing I can do to stop you, huh? But please, Hikaden, just promise me one thing. Promise to come back no matter what happens. I'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you to come back with Mashiron and Salyu and the Professor too. Along with their telepathy came feelings meant to console Natsuhiko. As his feelings enveloped him, Natsuhiko blew Yuri's memories away. Eventually, his voice echoed through the darkness. Natsuhiko, is everything okay? I opened my eyes to the sound of his voice. My 5 senses returned from their connection to Yuri, and I see Watase with my own eyes. I'm okay, I only hurt her mind a little. I damaged her memories just a little bit. Even though I never wanted to use this ability for my own conveniences ever again. I see. Yuri's lying down by his feet. It seems Watase had caught her and laid her down on the ground after she'd fainted from the shock of memory erasure. I'm really sorry, Natsuhiko. This really isn't what you wanted at all, is it? I know you didn't want to come with me either. I answered that question after a moment of silence. No, I wouldn't say that's entirely the case. What? Now that we've come this far, I finally understand how you and Mr. Ukita feel. If someone has been trampling people from behind the shadows and will continue to do so unless they're stopped, then I want to right the wrong, even if it means staining my hands with crime. You think so too, don't you, Watase? Yeah. To be honest, I don't really understand what sort of organization Q is. They might really be an evil terrorist organization whose crimes spread beyond Orokume City. So I won't let my guard down around Q. I'm going with you, but solely to fulfill the role that I have to. Of course, Natsuhiko, I won't make you a terrorist or anything. I won't expose you to any danger. Since I'm the one asking for your cooperation, that's my responsibility. I'll protect you with all my strength. I guess your strong sense of duty never fades, huh? Fine, I guess I'll take you up on that offer then. And that sharp tongue of yours never fades either. Well, I don't blame you. There are things that Watase and I cannot do alone. There are things that Watase and I must do together. Now that we share a joint role, a smile forms upon our lips. Well, guess we should get going then. Mashiro and the others will catch up to us if we're too slow. Yeah, I'm sorry, but let's leave Yuri to teach and the others. What do we do from here? Once we slip out of the forest, some Q members are supposed to pick us up in a car. They've apparently made preparations to slip past the city gate, so for now, let's follow their instructions and break out of the city. Okay, lead the way. Watase and I start walking off after I say that. He supports me as we walk through the dark forest. The stars shining in the night sky faintly illuminate our path. Eventually I speak up. Hey Watase, it might be weird of me to say this, but... What? I think we've finally come to understand each other. Makes me just a little bit happy. When we work together, it feels like we can take on anything. That's no matter who our enemy may be, we can stick firm to our beliefs. You're right. That's why we chose to take this route. Watase looks at me and answers softly. The real war starts here. I'm sure it'll be harsh and severe, but... I know, but even so, let's pass judgment on the true evil so that one day we may bring the entire truth to light. Yeah, and I promise, Once everything's over, I'll get you back to Yuri for sure. I'm counting on you, partner. Watase nods firmly at those words. Watase and I kept walking. To protect those precious to us and to avenge the people whose lives have been trampled on. None of this is over yet. We won't stop walking until the day peace is restored. I feel a blazing fire in my heart silently stirred alive. Double end. Alright, we're going to jump back in. I'll cut here and I'll bring you back. And we got a different choice to make for another good end. And then next episode we'll do the true end. Alright, this time we're picking 4 for both of them. Watase 4, Natsuhiko 4. This will be an ending that we partially had last time as well. The choice lay with Natsuhiko, and there was only one chance to choose. This choice will determine the future. And my fate, Watase's fate and Yuri's fate as well. Natsuhiko's thoughts spread frantically through his mind as he stood frozen in place. How is someone like me supposed to choose? If Natsuhiko merely willed it, Watase's memories would disappear in an instant. Yet the fact that Watase hadn't launched a sneak attack on him meant he really does want me to let me choose. This wasn't a showdown between Natsuhiko and Watase. It was entirely Natsuhiko's choice. Would he erase Watase's memory and smash his conviction to pieces? I don't want to do something like that, but Natsuhiko looked at Yuri, who was standing by his side. She let herself be locked away, deep under Labo, for 9 years to protect Natsuhiko's peaceful life. He could feel her warmth through her hand. I can't let go of her ever again. A few hours ago, Natsuhiko would have probably taken Yuri in a heartbeat. But things were different now that he found himself relating to Watase. Things were different now that he knew all of Watase's memories and emotions. Watase, I don't want to erase you. Even though your convictions run counter to my own, even though you'll return to being that rescue worker full of justice if I simply erase your memories, I don't want to erase you. Natsuhiko... As Natsuhiko gritted his teeth, Yuri smiled and spoke. Hey Hikarin, don't beat yourself up for it so much, okay? Huh? You don't want to erase Captain Kasasagi's memories, I understand. But there's no need to erase them in the first place. I mean, this was what we promised from the very beginning. Isn't that right, Captain Kasasagi? So I'm going to keep my promise. Watase said nothing in response. Natsuhiko just stood there in a daze as Yuri continued. I'm glad I made that deal with Captain Kasasagi back then because that's what allowed everyone to get out of Labo safely. So that's why I'm going to go with Captain Kasasagi. Yuri said that, then tried to walk away from Natsuhiko. But he wouldn't let her go. No, Yuri, there's no way in hell I can let you leave. Didn't I say I'd free you for sure this time? But he couldn't. Just then Watase finally broke his silence. Natsuhiko, stopping her with words isn't what you need to do now. Now what you need to do is act. If you want Yuri to be free, then there's something you have to do first, right? Watase's voice was stern, but the light in his eyes was mysteriously gentle. So I have to do it? Yes, you have to do it. Watase muttered that, as if he'd read Natsuhiko's mind. Natsuhiko gritted his teeth, then looked at Watase and answered, I'm sorry, Watase. I'm gonna break our promise. I'm gonna erase your memory for my own selfish reasons. And with that declaration, Natsuhiko used sensed sympathy one last time. His field of vision was filled with radiant light. He felt something warm flow through him from the depths of Watase's mind. Good. This is how it should be, Natsuhiko. You made that choice not because you're a monster, but because you're a human being who has someone dear to protect. And besides, you made this choice out of consideration for my feelings as well, right? So I accept your decision. And as he listened to that voice, Natsuhiko erased his memory. His consciousness was in an endless darkness. Where am I? He didn't know. His head was a total blank. What is this? He couldn't remember a thing. How did this happen? He desperately tried to figure out why. Soon enough, a mysterious voice whispered in the corners of his mind, as if praying for him to awaken. I wake up in some unfamiliar place. Where am I? With that thought in mind, I look around. I find myself lying in some sort of bed. Immaculate white sheets are wafting, and the wafting scent of antiseptics. Looks like I'm in a hospital room of some sort. I see what appears to be a policeman standing in the corner of the room. And besides the bed, a boy and a girl are looking at my face. Ah, you're awake. Thank goodness. Captain Kasasagi, do you know who we are? It looks like they know me. With that, Natsuhiko and Yuri. I remember them. I sit up in the bed and focus fully on them. What's the meaning of this? How the hell do I still remember you guys? No, not just you guys. I remember everything. How? It's not just Natsuhiko and Yuri I remember. I remember it all. Every detail of my 32 years of life as Watase Kasasagi. The fact that I'm a terrorist. The 9 hours we spent trapped in labor. Our escape. All of it. And how at the end of it all, I held Natsuhiko at gunpoint and forced him to make a decision. Natsuhiko answered by saying he'd sense sympathy on me and... No, what happened after that is the one thing that's a total blank. Natsuhiko, explain. Didn't you erase all my memories? No, I didn't. The only thing I erased was your memory of that second. What? I couldn't let you take Yuri away. No chance in hell, but I didn't want to erase you either. So just like I did before, I took away a very small part of your memories to knock you unconscious. Upon hearing those words, I finally realized what he was getting at. Back when I was trapped in labo that day and still had amnesia, Natsuhiko knocked me unconscious by erasing my current memory when our minds were linked in order to protect Salia. He did that one more time to protect Yuri. I figured that only erasing a very small part of your memory would minimize the shock of the memory loss, but I was still worried that you might have died. Hikarin's been waiting for you to wake up ever since then. He prayed from the bottom of his heart for you to survive. I see. And so I survived. Not as a complete blank slate all over again, but as the terrorist I am. So this is your answer, Natsuhiko? Yeah, this is the best I could do. Natsuhiko sounds guilty about all this, so I give him a wry smile. Don't look so down. You made the completely right choice. I lost, fair and square. Natsuhiko has nothing to say to that. I really don't like the silence, so I continue. Anyway, how long's it been since then? How are the others? It's been 3 days, everyone's okay. They've all been taken into care of the ESP Bureau, so they're in a safe place now. Then this hospital... Yeah, it's a police hospital outside of Rokume City. Waiting just outside the door is Professor Tsubakiyama and her co-workers. So they've come to arrest me, huh? Yeah, they arrested Mr. Rikita too, right after we all escaped. Naturally, they've already taken my gun from me. That way I can't take Yuri away even if I wanted to. Of course, I had no intention of doing so, but... Hey, Natsuhiko, Yuri, can I ask you guys something? What? Why'd you guys wait for me to wake up? I could have gone berserk and tried to take Yuri away once I did, for all you know. You guys should have stayed away from me and run off somewhere safe instead, so wait. The two of them calmly answered my question. The reason we did it was because we had faith that you wouldn't do something like that. We waited for you to wake up because I wanted to apologize for breaking my promise to go with you. I see. You guys are good kids. I find myself saying that in an unexpectedly gentle voice. Their answers warmed my heart. Hearing that they trusted me makes me incredibly happy for some reason. Even though I know their trust won't erase my crimes. Guess they'll put me on trial sooner or later. I'm sorry, Watase. Not only did I break our promise, but it's all my fault you have to go through that. What are you apologizing for, you fool? Be proud of yourself, you did the right thing. It's just like you said, I should be tried by the law for my crimes. That's true. I'll spend the rest of my life in atonement, up until the day I die. I've already resigned myself to that, but there's one regret I have left. Regret? How in the end I failed to hold the Rokume City government accountable for their wrongdoings. That truly is the one thing I regret. I look off into the distance and continue. I lost 2 comrades that day. Our methods were wrong. It'd probably be true to say that I'm reaping what I sowed, but our desire to bring judgment upon the true villains, Rokume City's puppet masters, that desire was genuine. That city has been stomping on far too many lives for far too long. Lives like Nagisa's. Will their spirit and everyone else's truly ever be at rest? Will the city just keep repeating the same mistakes? I can no longer bring the dead any final closure. That's the one regret I have from the bottom of my heart. I grip my teeth in frustration. But at that moment, Natsuhiko takes my hand and speaks. I won't let your feelings go to waste. We'll make sure to carry them on. Huh? Watase, we were touched by the minds and feelings of everyone in the facility that day, including yours. All of them have carved a conviction into my mind as well. The city cannot be left to its own devices. The light of determination fills Natsuhiko's eyes. Yet he nods and continues. We're working to reveal the truth they've kept hidden all these years and change the city. We won't resort to terrorism, but you and Mr. Aikido will get the fight you hoped for. It's likely we'll be putting ourselves in danger by doing this. We don't know how long it'll take for the battle to end once it starts. But we have comrades on our side. Mashido, Salu, Mum, Professor Tsubakiyama, Miss Tachibana and Jun. So we promise we'll put an end to that city's mistakes. We'll ensure that no one else has to be sacrificed. You guys. The looks on their faces are no longer those of children, but adults. Natsuhiko firmly grips my hand and continues. By the time you finish your atonement, I'm sure the world will be a much better place. So let's meet again in that better world. Not as a terrorist and a communicator, but as comrades who survived that day in Labo together. Yeah. And with that answer, I grip Natsuhiko's hand back. I have no more regrets. I know for sure that Natsuhiko and the others will inherit my conviction and the will of the dead. So I've decided to have faith. I believe that their ideals will change that insidious, cruel city. Then after this era of crime finally ends, they should find themselves blessed with new days. I pray from the bottom of my heart that they have a shining future waiting ahead for them. That was a pretty good ending. If I do say so myself, that's not the true ending. But damn, that's pretty good. Alright, we're going to wrap this one up here. And the next one we will come in and we're going to do the true ending. I don't know how long the episode will be, but it's going to be a good one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you then.